You know what one of the best parts of Christmas Day is? Eating an entire pan of cinnamon rolls all by yourself. Before we dive into this recipe, I just want to say thank you for everybody that has watched this series thus far, and welcome to part 5 of this 12 recipes of Christmas series that I'm doing. And with that being said, let's dive into making these delicious cinnamon rolls. Alright everybody, let's dive into making these cinnamon rolls. Using a heat-proof mug, add in 2 cups of warm milk to a large bowl, as well as a half cup of melted unsalted butter. Now before we move on, go ahead and just mix these together. Alright, add in a half cup of granulated sugar, which is going to act as food for our yeast, which is 1 pack of active dry yeast added to this. And go ahead and give this a quick stir to hydrate the yeast. Set this and let it rest for 10 minutes and it should be nice and foamy, and if it's not, throw it out. So to a large bowl or a stand mixer, go ahead and add this mixture. Then we are going to add in about half of our 4 cups of flour total to this bowl. Give it a quick mix with your dough hook or spoon if you're just using a bowl, and then add the rest of your flour, and then you're going to mix this once more. Not looking to develop much gluten here. All you want to do is just ensure that these ingredients are nice and mixed. I actually went ahead and used a spoon for mine just to get out any and all of these clumps. It's okay if a few are left behind. Just be sure it's mixed in very good. Now I'm going to cover this with plastic wrap and set it in my oven with the oven light on to rise for 1 hour. While your dough is rising, we can make our filling. I'm adding in 3/4 of a cup of unsalted butter. Be sure this is very softened, so just plan ahead to let this sit out for quite a while. And then we are going to be adding in 3/4 of a cup of light brown sugar. Next, go ahead and add in 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, because these are cinnamon rolls, so it's a key ingredient. Give that a quick mix and it eventually will come together into a nice smooth paste, kind of like this. And this stuff tastes amazing. For the filling, I'm optionally adding in 4 ounces of cream cheese. This is not enough to give it a very cream cheese flavor, just a little hint of tanginess. Follow that up with 2 cups of powdered sugar. I recommend adding that in last and slowly adding it in while whisking. 8 tablespoons of milk, 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, and 4 tablespoons of melted unsalted butter. Obviously, I recommend making this by adding all of the wet ingredients first and then slowly adding in the powdered sugar until it comes to a nice, smooth, thicker icing. Now our dough is done proofing. Now I'm adding 1 cup of all-purpose flour directly to my dough, 2 teaspoons of salt to enhance the flavor, and then I'm going to sift in 1 teaspoon of baking powder to prevent these baking powder rocks left behind from being bitten into, because they are extremely sour if you do so. So just give this a quick mix, then we are going to knead this. So if you have a stand mixer, I would knead this for about 6 minutes until it comes together nice and smooth, but if you're doing this by hand, go for at least 10 minutes. I'm going to drop this dough directly onto a floured work surface, and while you're kneading this, you can add a little bit more flour if it's really sticky, but add as minimal as possible. So I'm just shaping this out and kind of pressing it down with my fingers until it comes to a square, and just stretching this to keep a nice even rectangle. Once my dough is all stretched out to a perfect rectangle, I'm going to use a rolling pin, aka my trusty water bottle, to roll out my fingerprints and kind of flatten this out very evenly to about 1/4 inch thick, maybe a little bit less. And here's a key step. Go ahead and kind of place your filling in little dots all the way around, because this is going to offer way more even spreading of your filling. Alright, so using a spatula, I'm just kind of mushing this down and spreading it out, and it will eventually all come together. Now, rolling this up, roll it up as evenly and as tightly as you possibly can. Take your time with this because it's the hardest step. Once you have your dough rolled up, you can use a slightly damp knife. So I just use a damp towel and wet my knife with each cut, same way that you would for cutting sushi. I would recommend that you use dental floss to cut this, because it will offer the best cutting experience with your roll and prevent any misshapes. But you can obviously reshape these before placing them in your pan. Alright, so I placed my cinnamon rolls into some 9-inch round cake pans, but you can obviously use any type of casserole dish like a Pyrex dish or really anything that you have. Just be sure whatever you use is well greased with butter. Alright, do not skip this step. You want to proof these for at least 30 minutes with some plastic wrap because as you can see they puff up a lot in this short time period. So I'm adding these to a preheated oven at 350 degrees and let them cook for anywhere between 25 to 30 minutes and you have beautiful cinnamon rolls. After they have cooled for 10 minutes, go ahead and drizzle on your icing. I know I didn't show it earlier, but it should be this consistency here. Very thick, but still able to be drizzled. Alright, so in conclusion with these cinnamon rolls, they are out of this world good. They definitely beat like the store-bought Pillsbury kind. They're more fluffy and they're just overall better flavor in every bite. They stand a little bit taller, and one of the most important features about this recipe is that you can add as much icing as you want, and in my personal opinion I like to absolutely drown my cinnamon roll in icing, but I definitely ate 3 of these and went into a cinnamon roll coma short after. With that being said, guys, I hope that you make these either on Christmas or maybe for New Year's. You can't go wrong with these cinnamon rolls. That's why I put these at the end of this series, so you could either have them on Christmas or for New Year's or whenever you want cinnamon rolls. So with that being said, guys, I really appreciate you watching this. A lot of time and effort did go into making this video, so if you would, please leave a like down below, subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content like this, and I will see you guys on the next set of videos that I make.